Gay SA Radio, where you are family.
Welcome, Enkay. Enkay, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions just to get to know more about you and this wonderful new Christmassy song that you've written. I've heard it and I really love it. So let's get into it. Can you take us through the creative process behind Heart of Steel? How did the collaboration with Gary van Riet come about, and how did it shape the final sound of the song?
So the creative process behind the song was actually far quicker and a tad easier than the other things that we're currently working on, and the other material we've been working on throughout this year. It actually came about as a challenge to ourselves, from a label that Gary is affiliated with. And we were glad to take upon the challenge. And he was very much, very much supportive in the creative process, in that he just let me throw all the ideas to the wall, and we somehow together found a way to make this piece of work that sticks. So it very much was a joint collaborative effort where we both, played instruments in studio. We were both recording our claps in studio. It was a lovely collaboration with Gary.
Heart of Steel is described as a classic Christmas pop song. What inspired the decision to create a Christmas song, and how did the festive season influence the overall tone and the energy of the track?
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan and lover of Christmas.
Yes,
the festive season. You do. I think the festive season is something about it being at the end of the year really just makes you look at your year, and review everything. And if you're lucky enough, you get to be with friends and family. For others, it's chosen friends and family. So there's something very special and sentimental about the Christmas period. And I think that sentiment and the sentimental value makes it easier to sort of, fall into that feeling of Christmas, to fall into that longing of, the idea of Christmas. And a big inspiration behind Heart of Steel was thinking of what this time of year is for people who perhaps don't have families to go back home to, or who choose not to go back to, their traditional families because of various reasons. And I think with the queer community, it's a case a lot of the time when this time of year doesn't bring the fondest memories, doesn't feel, the happiest. So we drew a lot of inspiration from that, and the isolation that can come with this time of the year.
Working with Gary van Riet seems to have been a transformative experience. Can you share the collaboration pushed you to your musical and spiritual limits, and what aspects of your identity as an artist were discovered or redefined in this process?
That is a big question, and I'm glad I get to touch on it, because it definitely was working with Gary is very much a transformative experience, in that, for me personally, when you open yourself up to someone who has knowledge, and when you allow yourself, to be in the hands of someone who wants to willingly share all they've learned, because Gary knows quite a bit. Like he's been around and he has a ton of experience. You tend to find yourself in a bubble of magic created by your willingness to be there, and their knowledge that they're imparting. It was also a heavy spiritual experience, that not only is Gary, a spiritual person, but I think music itself is also a spiritual thing. And any creative medium, when you create something, you're tapping into that. And I feel very lucky to have been able to work on this song and all the other music that we've been working on this year with him and the safety net and bubble that we've created. Yeah.
The timing of the song was coinciding with, the Springbok World Cup, and the energy of the winning spirit played a role in the creation.
Mhm.
How did the external events and emotions impact the overall vibe of Heart of Steel? And how did you channel that energy into that song?
Well, were you watching? Were you following the rugby?
No.
You were, you're not a sporty person.
No.
Is it? Well, I myself am not very much a sporty person either, but I found myself, sitting for the games, and the semi-final and the final, winning by 1 point was a crazy experience. And I think being in, the setting of a sports event as significant as that was very interesting, watching the joy that it brought to people, watching how different people and people from different walks of life came together to, celebrate in one moment. That was very touching. And of course, having the box win by such tiny margins, I think you needed a heart of steel to bear it because it was unbearable to watch, to say the least. But I think a big thing that we drew for this song was just that fighting spirit and the that winning mentality is embedded in the song. The message of the song Heart of Steel is very much, choosing oneself and loving oneself despite all odds.
Heart of Steel is described as a sad song that looks for the bright side, focusing on choosing oneself as the best gift for Christmas. Can you elaborate on the themes and emotions you aimed to convey through the lyrics and musical arrangement?
Well, um, personal experience, and I think very much again with the queer community, this time of the year can be very somber in a way. And um I guess it's a sad song if you find yourself alone. It's a sad song if you find this time of year to be somewhat triggering. However, the positive turnaround, as I said, is choosing yourself and realizing that sometimes the best gift you can give yourself for Christmas is that love that you pour into yourself, and giving yourself that gift is far more precious and valuable than a gift that someone else can give you. Although those other gifts are nice. So if you are planning to send anything, please still send it.
You mentioned drawing inspiration from the personal experience of loneliness during the festive season. How did you navigate blending these emotions into a song that captured the essence of Christmas while exploring deeper, more complex feelings?
So Christmas for me, love it very much. I don't know if I've said that yet this morning, but love Christmas and what it represents. And I haven't always been fortunate enough to, experience Christmas in that traditional Hallmark movie fairy tale sense. Um, and I don't know if you can relate to that, but I navigating that was important for me because it's very easy to run away from things and to shy away from looking at hard feelings or hard emotions. But I think the fortunate position that we're in as creators is to be able to dive into those emotions. And a big thing that I respect about the queer community is we're in positions where we have to face those emotions. We have to choose ourselves many of the time in order to free ourselves. We have to choose ourselves and dive into those deep emotions a lot of the time in order to free ourselves and be ourselves. So this song was very much an exercise in allowing myself and um, in the safety and comfort of Gary to, look at that at face value, explore it, feel it, and write about it.
Your musical journey has deep roots from childhood devotions to church choir practice. How have these early experiences shaped your current approach to music? And do you see traces of these influences in Heart of Steel?
Very, very, very much. I grew up a child in the choir from church to school. Um, Love, 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 the choir experience. And I think in the choir setting, I got to not only sing, but be around other people who sang as well. So that very much felt like community. And I think to this day, a big element of my, writing style and the music I tend to lean towards is um, music with heavy layers of vocals that creates that effect of choir and ensemble singing. And we achieved that very much in the song, um, having different harmonies and textures. So elements of my childhood are still very much present in my current writing style. I think they shaped who I am today, and they'll be with me for a very long time.
Heart of Steel is not just a song, it's an emotional experience, as you have said. Can you walk us through the feelings you hope your listeners experience when engaging with this track?
Hmm. That's a big question as well, I think. Um, I really, really hope people who listen to the song, take away the message beyond the sadness of it in the lyrics. I hope the happy feel that we captured in the music, um, really is the lasting effect of it. I don't want people to walk away feeling sad, but rather feeling optimistic and hopeful that they're not alone, even if they have to be alone for Christmas. But in choosing oneself as yeah, choosing oneself and loving oneself, as cliche as that may sound, like I hate to sound preachy, but that really is where the magic is. And that's where the real love is. When you choose yourself and love yourself, I believe that you attract the same. So I really hope and I manifest that the takeaway from the song is that there's hope and love at the end of the tunnel.
You've described music as a constant presence in your life. How does the theme of choosing self love and resilience during the holiday season align with your connection to music?
Well, music is a constant present in my life in that, I constantly have music playing, and music is the soundtrack to my day to day, from showering in the morning to the way I end my day off. And I think for a lot of us, music is a constant present. And um, I think the self love again, without sounding too preachy, the music that we listen to really impacts us, and the music that we listen to really, embeds itself in our daily lives, embeds itself in the way that our days are. And I think the big connection for this holiday season is with this song specifically. Heart of Steel is whatever it is you may be going through, and however your holiday season may look. Um, I wish for you a heart of steel in that you not only do you not like feel hurt or pain, but you're strong enough to just make it through and power through the holiday season. Because a heart of steel is definitely not meaning have no emotion. Don't run away from the emotion, Livio. Feel the emotion, but let your heart be strong enough to make it through.
Thank you. It's so an in-depth answer to that question, which is absolutely amazing. Inke, thank you so much for your time. I
And thank
really do
you.
appreciate it. And it was a real pleasure to speak to you too.
And to you too. Thank you so much.